Hey, how's it going? Let's talk about what it's like eating tons of soy for 2 months. First, I should probably give you some background on what I normally eat. Basically whatever. Whatever I feel like eating at the time or when I'm hungry. So I'm not the most unhealthy of people. I tend to fluctuate between 11 and 12 stone, which is like 160 to 180 pounds. I think I've got that right. Might be 150 to 170. I don't know, we don't do pounds here. So sometimes I'll eat like really healthily for a couple days, and sometimes I'll eat like a full bag of Doritos for a meal. And sometimes I'll eat one really big meal a day and nothing else. So my metabolism is apparently really good because it's compensated pretty well for the fact that I'm not very good at this whole food thing. Back when I was an IT engineer, I tried to get really healthy for a while. I basically ate nothing but fruits and a couple of specific vegetables, like peppers, kidney beans, and just lentils and spinach, and that was about it. That was just all I ate for like every meal of the day. And I got super healthy for a while. I lost tons of weight. I felt really good. And then I went out for fish and chips with some friends like once. And as soon as I got home, I immediately had to have a nap for like 2 hours. And I realized that what I was doing was I was being so rigid in exactly what I was eating that I was training my body to be unprepared for anything remotely fatty or sugary, and it just messed with me. So I kind of started eating normally afterwards and sort of lived in fear of going on any kinds of diet of any kind afterwards. And apart from whatever amounts of soy that you get in normal people food, I haven't intentionally eaten anything soy-based for most of my life. I've never really eaten anything vegan-y or tofu-y before. When I was about 22, I went in to get a blood test because I was really worried about the testosterone stuff at the time, and my results came back really high for both T and DHT, and that's actually why I'm going to go bald in the next 12 to 15 minutes, because that's what having high testosterone can do, although it's disputable, but I like to think that's why. I love bringing this up, compared to me, like 78% of the human male population are low T betas, and yet I look like this. It's almost as if endocrinology is a little bit more complicated than what Davis Orini and his science advisor looked up on the internet in 5 minutes. Speaking of Davis, he actually left a comment on the last video that I want to read out now. God, you're bitchy, like a woman. Imagine being almost 40 years old, like that close to the halfway point of the cosmic human miracle that is your life, the one that you get, and spending it arguing in the comments of YouTube videos on the internet. I want to feel sorry for Davis, but it's just too funny. Actually, hold on one sec. I'm going to check it's not like a parody account or something. Yeah, it's real. The fact I had to check to see that that was just a parody of Davis probably says quite a lot. When I came up with that character that was sort of making fun of people like him, but especially him, a couple of years ago, when he was running around with a sword, I thought that's a bit much. They're not that silly. But no, as of 2 months ago, I checked Davis's channel, and there he is, looking like a slightly microwaved Cypher from The Matrix, reviewing a sword that he bought online for like $500. Oh yeah, I bet I look so badass right now. Do you want some cantaloupe? I cut up a lot of melons making this video. Hi Davis, by the way, I know you're gonna watch this, so maybe leave a better complaint in the comments this time. That said, the testosterone results I got were years ago now. I was maybe thinking of getting like a before and after test when I was doing this experiment, but doctors are really busy now, especially thanks to the policies that people like Paul voted for, and I didn't want to waste more of their time to get extra research done on a YouTube video. That felt kind of disrespectful of their time. So for the soy boy diet, I basically took everything that was meat, eggs, or dairy and replaced it with some kind of soy-based equivalent. So I had a lot of sausages, a lot of soygas, that's not a real thing, and tons of soy milk. I don't actually drink that much milk normally, I think milk's rubbish, but in coffee I have milk, so I replaced that with soy milk. It tasted really nice, by the way. That was the first thing I noticed. Soy milk has a really, like, nice taste to it. I avoided all the vegetarian foods that are made of stuff like corn. Corn food is like some kind of fungus and also egg albumin that's been cultivated a certain way. Apparently it tastes good, but it sounds awful, and there's no soy in it to my knowledge, so I ignored all of that. I also obviously just ate, you know, regular tofu that I'd bought and cooked different ways. The initial barrier to tofu, by the way, is taste. Tofu in its nascent state is tasteless, smells a little bit weird, and wet. You have to drain it or press it to get all of the water out. You have to put in a lot more effort just to get an actual taste out of it. However, people usually use that as a way of comparing it to meat and showing that it's less good. But actually, after doing some looking into this over the course of this stuff, I've realized that that's not quite a fair comparison. Like, all the meat that you buy in a store has been flavored or processed in some way to give it a sense of taste. You can't just cut a bacon-sized slice off a pig and fry it. That will probably not taste that great. Anything that's been processed or cured, that's what you're tasting in the meat when you eat it. You're not actually just, you know, there isn't a nascent good taste to animals, it turns out. We have to make it taste all right. With the sausages, the first thing I noticed was that they were incredibly similar to regular sausages, because the actual meat wasn't the thing you were tasting in sausages. You were actually tasting all of the fun herbs and stuff that have been mixed in with it. And that stuff tastes nice even when there's no actual meat involved, it turns out. So I had a pretty okay time on this. Something I got really into eating right away was I would just cut up some tofu and microwave it with these chili kidney beans that you can buy at the co-op, and I would just eat that for a meal. And it was really quick to make, and also it was really, really filling. So I had a good time with that. I wouldn't cook that for someone else though, that's, you know, that'd be rubbish, but I got into eating tons of that right away because it was so quick and simple, and it satisfied the tofu requirements for this diet. I mostly stuck to it pretty fine. I had a couple of times where I broke it on purpose because I was eating with like family for Christmas or New Year's, and I couldn't be bothered to like bring a soy chicken to Christmas dinner. Yeah. Actually, I think the most disturbing thing about my family was how when I told them about this thing, they were like, yeah, that's something he would do. Like, my family have come to expect this sort of thing from me, and it's a little bit worrying, to be honest. My initial starting weight was 13 stone and 1 pound, but that was while I was carrying a Canon C100 with a 24-105mm lens, which is actually pretty hefty. But I really wanted to do the shot where I was looking down at the scale while I was weighing myself. This is my mother's bathroom, by the way. I don't own a scale. What am I, a functioning adult? To get my actual weight, I decided to just weigh my camera again on the same scale, which didn't work because it's not heavy enough. So I weighed it on a kitchen scale. Alright. 2,543 grams. That's 5.6 pounds. 183 take away 5.6 is 177.4 pounds, which is a lot for me, actually. After doing the diet for 2 months, I'm not going to give you all that rigmarole again, I weighed 11 stone and 2 pounds, so 156 pounds. So eating a bunch of soy made me lose 23 pounds without having to do anything? That's a pretty significant difference for just a slight change in what I was eating. Imagine what a difference it would have made if I'd bothered to exercise. In all the really compromising photos I took over the course of this diet, I didn't notice any marked change in my actual shape. I didn't become more effeminate in any way that was measurable, and I didn't grow breasts any larger than the ones that I already have. I also didn't get significantly fitter or have that much more energy than I normally had either, so it turns out that soybeans aren't magical. Basically, I proved exactly what everyone expected this would prove in the most boring and straightforward way possible. It turns out that soybeans are just a kind of bean that you can eat. And it doesn't make that much of a difference. Great. Hooray! This is why I didn't bring this up much in the main measured response video, by the way, because it made no difference. There was like nothing really worth bringing up, so I thought I'd save it for this little thing. At the very least, I didn't become weirdly airbrushed or turn red like Alex Jones's supplements seem to do for him. Watch out for that, by the way, Paul. I think by far the most substantive change I've noticed is an increased prevalence in what Reddit likes to call the ghost poop, which is you go to the bathroom and then when you wipe, you discover you didn't really have to because it came out in one solid, contiguous, beautiful piece. I wouldn't call that a ghost poop, by the way, Reddit. I would call that when you take a shit and you don't need to flush because it went down the drain all on its own. I don't think tofu is that much healthier than meat. I mean, obviously processed meats have been linked to an increase in cancer risk, but with the kind of meat you can get at a butcher, I don't think there's a huge difference health-wise. That said, soy milk is way better than regular milk. Regular milk is garbage. Don't even get me started. I got myself started. Milk is like just absolutely rubbish. Humans have been lactose intolerant for most of our history. Like, the ability to drink milk is something we only really developed like 7,500 years ago, and even then, tons of humans are still lactose intolerant. It's ridiculous. And then it still had shit in it that would be like poisonous to drink. Like, it made people really sick anyway, until Louis Pasteur came along and invented pasteurization. I wonder where he got that name from. And then it was finally mostly safe for some humans to drink milk. The fact that we still drank milk prior to the 1860s, where we hadn't developed a way of making it not poisonous, speaks volumes as to both the rubbishness of milk and to why humans are just rubbish. Soy milk, on the other hand, is low in fat, high in protein and vitamins, contains 0 cholesterol. It tastes great in my coffee, which is all I drink milk for anyway, because milk is weird. Oh, and it's not full of estrogen. Oh, by the way, did I mention that regular milk is full of estrogen? Not, you know, fakey fake planto phytoestrogen, mammal estrogen, the kind that affects mammals. You know that cows make milk for baby calves, right? How's that for hormonal havoc, Kayla? I don't know why I'm getting so annoyed about this. I think the main thing this taught me was to bother to think about what I'm eating. Having to actually measure what's in food and look at labels has caused me to think more about what I'm actually eating, which I really wasn't before. I've never counted calories, I've never thought about fiber, carbohydrates, fat, protein, anything like that before. And the modicum of research I had to do for making these videos has caused me to go, well, if I actually thought about this just a little bit, I could vastly improve, like, the actual state of my body. So there has kind of been a positive effect for this, but it's nothing to do with the food itself. It's all just been the lessons I've learned over the course of trying it. So I wouldn't really recommend the soy diet to anyone. You know, there's no spectacular effects, but I would recommend looking into what you eat and how to improve it. I'm actually really obsessed with responses to the Super Size Me documentary. Like, Morgan Spurlock made a couple of, like, quite important methodological mistakes. So tons of shills for the fast food industry, or like weird paleo diet people, have come out with these semi-legitimate criticisms in order to push their own personal agenda. I think it's hilarious. There's this great documentary called Fathead, which I've seen more than most actual films, that basically takes a couple of the legitimate problems with Super Size Me and turns them into, like, just, and here's why you should eat fucking steak every day! That topic is actually on the big board of weird niche subjects that I'd love to make a video about at some point, so mention in the comments if you'd like me to do something like that. That's actually something that I've noticed with YouTube skepticism for a while now. No one's bothered to mine the area of health and diet science yet, which is bizarre because it's such a fantastic thing to delve into. You know, like, nutritionist is not a legally protected term, right? So you have Kayla Danielses everywhere, and they're like saying stuff that's really easy to make fun of and debunk. We've got all kinds of stuff like that, and yet we're so busy talking about, you know, moon landing conspiracy theories or feminists, when there's this whole thing that we could be doing. I think that's great. I'm also going to look into a book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Body, which I've heard is actually fairly similar to the kind of diet I adopted a couple of years ago when I got pretty healthy and then had a weird experience with some fatty foods. Apparently his diet suggests some kind of cheat day where you eat a ton of calories and fat and stuff to sort of reset your metabolism every now and then. I'd love to have a version of the stuff I ate then that actually works properly and lets me occasionally eat fatty things without having to have a nap afterwards. I think I might start going to the gym more after this. Like, I joked earlier, imagine what it would have been like if I'd bothered to exercise, and I actually quite liked imagining that. So yeah, I'll give that a shot. Anyway, thanks for watching this quick update on all the weird stuff I've been putting into my mouth. Normally at the end of my videos I used to do readings of the credits, but then, unfortunately, too many lovely people decided to help fund me making weird stuff like this, so the credits started being super long, It's actually starting to affect the length and pacing of my videos to a degree that I think is not good for the videos themselves, so I'm going to change it over. This and one more time I'm going to do readings of the credits just so everyone who wants to be in them has a chance to, and I can correct her if I get the names wrong this time. And in future I'm going to have different rewards for backers at that level, so I'm going to do streams of me editing the videos and some other stuff like that. If there's other stuff you think I should do for backers like that, please let me know. But in the meantime, as thanks for allowing me to afford to spend the time, effort and money doing ridiculous stuff like this, I'd really like to thank 3/5 of a brain, a fish named Nabby, a bowl of creamy tomato soup, Ace Creation, Aislinn, Adult Sword Owner, Aelia, Al Swigert, Alistair, thank you for playing Life is Strange, Alessia Lemons, Alex Lemkovich, Alexander R. Corbett, Alice Forbes, Alicia Parker Martell, Alison Thimesh, Amontillado, an egg painted to look like a man, Andrew Foltz, Andrew Gilly, Andrew Scheimer, Any Madman, Argry Konu, Ash Stryker, Austin J. Dubey, Avi Finkel, Aidan 3A, Benedict Marco, Bissott and Jenny, Brennan Arts, Brett Gillespie, Brian Parr, Bryce Pullen, Brooks Woodhill, Sis's Piss, aka The Ambivalent Magnificence, CJ is a hot boy, hot boy, hot boy, hot boy, hot boy, Kate Scythe, Calminos, Jaboy Cami Rose, Chad Falatic, Charlie Bartlett, Checkmate Pony, Chiaki Nanami Ultimate Gamer, Chris Ocala, Christopher McDonald, Christopher Petroni, Kieran, Clawsu, Cobbalaith, Kabiza, Commissar Taco, Daniel Sullivan, Daniel Vincent Chilton, Danielle Montanari, David Old, David Rose, Davis Remy, Dravinsky, Eco, Eden Yankovic Sumar, Aiton Goldstrom, Elijah Scanlon, Ellie, Elliot Soden, Eric Bronner, Eric Hunter, Eugene Butler, Evan Ritchie, Femin Ninja, Findley Bowick Copley, 5-time World Heavyweight Champion Patrick the Breezy P. Finnegan, Flag Burner, Florian Knox, Frank Stevens, Frick, the unironic love for Sonic guy, Fruit, Garrett Lathy, Garrett Mitchell, Gary Marshall, Gnostic Dude, Google Hushabye Valley or I'll give you a swirly, Grafen Blackpaw, Gracie Lipscomb, Grick Von Ghoul, Haley, Handsome Unlimited, Heba Assad, Hero of Time 88, Hero Rewar, I found Wookie Sphincter tickling rubber gloves in a loot box, I don't know, like a butt or something, Senpai, Icy Kitty, it turns out I was wrong about everything, Jacob Hamblin Pike, Jacob Herman, James Adair, James Id, Jon Anders Bremer, Jason Walter, Jeffrey Theobald, Jerry Terry, Joe, if you're watching this, Willow told you so, Joey Meyer, John Mignone, John Petterson, John Stevenson, John Cantwell, Jordan Barrett, Jordan Tullis, Josh Ireland, Julia Bashand, Justin Conkerbeard, Justin Partridge, Justin Whitney, Jürgen Yockley, K. Played Dota, Calf's Isle, Kelly Mariella K, Kevin Thurber, Kevin Flynn, Kit Foley, Krista Collin, Christian Fiquete, Kurt C. Yost, Kyle Dobson, Lance Manley, Lauren, Liam Jones, Liz Castro, Lord Christine, Lord Sir Mr. Supercalinialistic Expialidocious of House Hanmore, Lucas Cucon, Luke Fowler, Luke Swanson, Maximilian Varga, Marco Shard, Maria the Maiden of Blue Fire, Mark Harmon, MacArthur, Michael H. Prey, Mike Stanley, Minty fucking Fresh, Mirak Rezai, Momi, Mr. Clonum, My Bisexual Awakening is Happening, Naoto Shirogane, Nathan Hoare, Nia Photoson, Nicholas Vu, Nick Schwert, Niflet, Niltiak, Stealer of Souls, Nocturnal Puff, Not Real, Null Rush, Owen Piper, PK Love, Pete West, Please Brandon, I want you to be friends with me, Qui-Gon Jinn, Good Night Sweet Prince, Rebecca Chang, Rebecca Harold, Recovering Zombie, Reese Walmsley, Richard Pearson, Ricard Hevosmar, Riley Van Dyke, Robert Phillips, Rose Gardner, Rossetti, Rue, Ryan William Cox, S. Peter Davis, Salem Alarak, Samael, Samuel Butler,
Samuel Vergara Ekman, Sarah Prasak, Scott Gertin, Scott Mendenko, Seamus Yossarian, a serpent perplexed, Sean Kemp, Seth, that ginger bastard from Texas, Shadowbag, Sheena Artrip, Siegfried, Slayer of the Immortal Dragon, Sigma Vega, Silas Pumpkins, Syntharana, Sky Young, Sol, Sprinkle, Spunker McGraw, Stepan Babchuk, Stephen Notley, Super Depressing Lifestyle Championship Edition, Swamp Selkie, Sydney Stevenson, Silien, Tatanator, Tapio Unto Oskari Turonen, Te Uberbase, Remy, Thad Wazalewski, The Spectre of Commulism, there once was a Soviet Spetsnaz agent called a Nuclear Depth Charge, Thomas Kistner, Tom Martell, Totally Radical Politics, Troy Brophy, Troy Heath, Tyler aka Giggs, Tyler Howard, Ure, Very Tizzy Izzy, Wargarble Smurf, Whackman, I love that name, Warren McKay Parsons, Weebka, XXX_Swagmaster420_XXX, Your Dumbass Boy Nathaniel Timezone Austria Talon, Zachary Clark, Zach Strickland, A Left So Far Divided It Collapses Into a Black Hole, Aubergy, Dane Stephen, D. Warwick, Devon's Hands Melt, Jort Dog, Jordan Hoxie, Lissy Roberts, One_Shoe, Parker Anderson, Sleuth, The Godforsaken Strongest Rat Alive, Tis What She Declaimed, Willow H, XX_Antfucker69_420XX, and thank you for pronouncing the 4 X's, and Ausgerur Asgersdotter. If I didn't get that name right, or any others for that matter, please let me know and I'll issue a correction in the last video where I do the credits. Thank you very much.
Seriously, thank you all so much. It's absolutely amazing. I'm still shocked. I mean, I set up the reward where I read names out because I thought like 6 people would ever do it. And here I am with too many that I can't really do readings of the credits anymore without adding like 10 minutes to a video. It's amazing.